Put your makeup on, get your nails done, curl your hair, run the extra mile, keep it slim so they like you. Do they like you?
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Saturday Morning Show. My name is Bola and on today's episode we're going to be talking about immigration. But before we get into the show, of course it's time for the gist. Now, what prompted this episode was a discussion I had with a couple of adults after I graduated from university. So when I graduated, I did this, just take a break, travel around, talk to people, get exposure. And one of the topics that came up was immigration. Now, this is how it came out. I had traveled to New York. I went to go visit my auntie and met a friend of hers. And the conversation came about as to my immigration status. I live in Canada. And so she was asking me how that works, what my plans were, etc. Sometime in that discussion, she said, why don't you just get married? Well, as a matter of fact, why don't you move to America and get married to your cousin? He has a different last name than you do, so if you married him, nobody's going to know the truth. And you can live in your aunt's house, rent free and all that jazz. And it was the air in which she said it. It was so easy, it was so casual. I was listening to her and looking at her like, no, you just didn't say this to me. But she said it so casually that I felt kind of stupid for not having thought about it first, because she said it in such a way that this is what you do. And then that prompted me to start asking a lot of questions, which we'll get into right after the break. But I was asking a lot of questions, but the overall thing that I got that stayed with me was how it affects our children, or how would it affect my children when, if I live here and I have them here, they're automatically going to be Canadian citizens. They will never know about the struggle or the hustle that it took me to get here. Nor everyone who has parents who immigrated here and had them here, they have no idea what their parents did. So I'll be sharing a couple of stories that I've heard along the way, and I'll be sharing a couple of my stories, and I'll be answering a lot of questions that people have asked me along the way. Alright, so we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm here with my friend Felipe, and like I said, we're going to be talking about immigration. So first question is, what country are you originally from?
I'm originally from Brazil.
And how did you get here?
By plane? Actually, that's a valid point because a lot of people get here by boat actually, or by car. But anyway, I moved to Calgary, to Alberta in Canada to study English 5 years ago. ESL student. I had no prior knowledge to the language in the level that I could actually have a conversation with someone. So I came to study English, and what were going to be 5 months ended up being 5 years in a career in education in Canada.
Wow, okay. So was your original language?
Portuguese.
And how long did it take you to learn English?
I wrote the TOEFL exam to assure my proficiency to get accepted into Canadian University in 2 months in the country.
Wow.
I had a great teacher, Dave. If you're watching this somewhere, he was a great teacher. And I also committed myself to 12 to 15 hours of study a day on the TOEFL exam.
Wow, so it took you 2 months. Just to say that again, I think I had got goosebumps.
Yeah, it took me 2 months to study for the TOEFL exam, which got my writing and my grammar in a level where I could write the exam. But however, my communication skills and my speaking skills in English weren't as good.
That's good, okay.
Yeah.
Alright. So what misconceptions do you think people have of what Canada is like?
Oh, that's a great question. I thought Canada didn't have problems with homelessness and child abuse and violence. For me, my idea of Canada growing up in Brazil was a country where they would have no social problems at all. Mm-hmm. And coming here, I found it to be quite different. Canada had just as many problems as Brazil had. Of course, not on the same level of severity. I shouldn't say severity, but not even the same level of number of cases. But Canada still face a lot of social problems that I had no idea that they existed. just by being in Brazil. And I think that's a big misconception a lot of people think. They think there's no violence or they think there's no crime, but there is.
There is.
Yeah.
There really is. I think my misconception was the weather. It seemed really funny, right? But growing up, I used to see like music videos where they would have the big coats and they would always be like with the LL Cool J, you know, and I never just connected that to the fact that it was actually really cold. I don't know whether I thought it was some video effect or I don't know what I was thinking until my first winter wasn't even that bad. It was when I moved to Calgary and I had gloves. And even gloves weren't cutting it. And people were telling me, oh no, you don't wear gloves, you have to wear like mitts, like the oval ones, and
Like, I remember a couple months before I moved to Canada, I went to sort of like a sports store in Brazil with my parents, and we sort of, you know, I knew I was going to get here in the middle of the winter and I needed to buy some clothes for that type of weather, at least for the next couple weeks before I could go and venture and buy some clothes. So we went to a store, and what was funny is that the salesperson, I don't know if she was just being a sneaky salesperson, I don't know if she was just being naive, or I don't know if that's just a misconception people have, but she told us that people in Canada, in the middle of the winter, they only wear winter boots. They don't wear any other type of shoes. So you have to bring your winter boots. And I was like, I don't even have, so we bought $600 pair of winter boots. They actually lasted until last winter. And she also said about pants, like you do not wear jeans because it's gonna get wet. It's gonna, you have to wear waterproof pants. So I bought this pair of ski pants that in my idea, I was gonna wear them all the time. I actually did not bring a single pair of shoes to Canada, but my winter boots. I stayed an entire year, well, winter, I guess summertime I actually bought summer shoes for the first time, but I stayed the entire winter, about 5 to 6 months, with only my winter boots. That was the only pair of shoes that I owned, because I thought that all people, and then when I saw here people wearing different kinds of shoes, I was, wow, that was a big shock for me, I guess, because I thought everyone just, and the pants, needless to say, the first time I went out with my ski pants, people started looking at me, so it was like, why are you wearing ski pants?
Why are you wearing ski pants?
And so I stopped wearing them, and I just learned that you can actually wear long johns and different kind of, and yeah. But yeah, if you actually saw a picture of me my first day in Canada, it's hilarious. It's me wearing this big bomber jacket from the 80s that my grandma had at her house, and tons of hats and mittens and like tons of layers. I mean, I looked like I seen a scene on the movie. It was really funny. But that was the biggest misconception too, in regards to the pants and the shoes.
I totally agree with that, because when I came in, I went to Toronto and I was staying with my aunt. And she was looking at me like I was crazy. And I'm very adaptable, so I adapt very easily to whatever environment I'm in. So I was pretty okay. But she kept insisting that I needed a jacket, I needed a hat. And I took the Greyhound from Toronto to Windsor, because that's when I went to school. And she gave me her jacket, she gave me her hat, she gave me her gloves. We're not the same size. And like, I was way even smaller when I first came than I am now. And she's way bigger than I am. And so it was like wearing size 16 when I was maybe a size 6. And I remember it was a sky blue jacket, and I wore that sky blue jacket with the gloves and the hat, got on the Greyhound. My brother came to pick me up from the Greyhound station. I got off the bus and he looks at me and he's like, we're going to the mall, because you're not following me around looking like this. And at that time I didn't even know what I looked like, and it was September, so it wasn't even cold or anything, and I had this huge jacket. It was really embarrassing. Anyways, what would you say about the reception when you came? How would you classify the reception of Canadians to you, especially when you weren't really good with English at the time?
Everyone was very, very respectful and patient with me. I've had some bad experiences, some good experiences, like everyone I think has had in their own personal lives. But for me overall, I think that I was received very positively by everyone around me. The people were very patient. They were very respectful when it came to speaking slowly with me. When it came to, I don't understand what you're saying then, let's speak it again, try it again, and it all worked out. So yeah.
See, you're lucky. I didn't quite get the same, reception, and not necessarily in a bad way. I've had receptions where at one of my first jobs, I was working on campus and I was working at the information desk. And this lady came up to the desk and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you here. And I was thinking, I don't know this person, or did I meet her somewhere before? I like, okay, fine. She's like, because I've been given $1 a day, and I'm so happy that my dollar has brought you to this side of the world. And I was thinking, well, thank you, you know, sure. And you know what's funny? You think you're ready for moments like that where somebody's outrightly racist at you. Right. You think you're ready. You think you have a comeback. Two things were involved. One, where I was working was the information desk, and we had 100 cameras of every angle. So I know that whatever I had said would have been filmed. I probably would have lost my job. And honestly, in that moment, I was so winded. I had no idea what to say. We're going to take a quick break, and if you had any story like the one that I just shared, please leave your comments in the section below. We'll be right back.
And then talking to you seem like what is perfect to do, but confusion is the reason that I acted the fool.
Welcome back. I'm here with Felipe, and we're talking about immigration. So my question is, at any point during your immigration process or your move here, did you ever just want to give up and just quit and go back home?
Yeah, there's been a few moments, especially when it comes to trying to plan the future without being a permanent resident of the country. I mean, if the people who are watching this, getting a loan to buy a house or finance a vehicle or finance a house when you're not a permanent resident is extremely difficult. It involves, it's just a complicated process. It really makes you wonder if you're willing to go through that procedure. And I thought about going back home, and I thought about just not worrying about filling out paperwork for the rest of my life again when it comes to immigration paperwork. I absolutely hate that. But I did not go.
Do you have any plans to go home forever?
I do and I don't. I think that the future is up in the air for me in the moment with regards to coming back to Brazil, but for the short run, I think for the shorter period of time here, the next 5-10 years, I plan to stay in Canada, and I want to be here. But after that, I don't know. I think it would be kind of cool to go live at home for a little bit, but at the same time, I really like here, and I'm doing everything that I can to stay. So I think I'll be staying in Canada for a long time. Yeah.
If you didn't come to Canada, what other country would you have considered going to?
Probably Netherlands or Singapore.
Why?
Netherlands is amazing. I find the location of it, it's great. The weather is fantastic. It rains quite a bit, but it's okay. It's not as cold as here, and Dutch people are awesome.
So, what helped you make your final decision? Was it the economy?
It's the economy. It's the economy and the opportunities and the overall quality of life in the country. So, to Canada, obviously, it's a great economy, great quality of life, and it's just an overall very good place to.
But anyways, we're going on a quick break. Again, this is a very interesting topic, I think, and I feel like a lot of you out there who are watching have views and opinions, maybe similar to what we're talking about, maybe opposed to what we're talking about. Please leave your comments, send us an email. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and as we're rounding up this episode, I have two last questions to ask you. What are some ridiculous immigration stories that you've heard?
Well, there's this one lady that I've met that she's from Ukraine. There are two immigrants to Canada. She learned French, decided to go the Quebec route, and she learned French in a year, wrote the exam, and immigrated.
Wow.
Yeah, she learned French from scratch, never spoke a word of French. And I thought it to be quite amazing because self-teaching yourself a language, it's fairly hard. So.
Well, that is. I only speak English. So early on, when I was introducing the show, I was talking about one ridiculous story that I've heard. And that prompted me to do a lot of research and asking a lot of people. I guess another I won't say ridiculous story because it is somebody's real life and that's what they had to do. And mostly because they were trying to do this for their children and their generation to make life easier and better for them. But one story that I've heard is that when persons would apply for passports or apply for visas rather to another country and they get denied again and again and again, what they would do is, because obviously you're in the system now, right? So what they would do is they'll change their name. And so say my name is Bola, for example, I would change my name to like Lucy Smith. and I'll change my birthday from June till like April 16th, and just change everything about my life. And then when I do get the visa and I'm allowed to go into the country, but every time you get to any immigration border, they'll ask you, you know, so how are you doing today, Lucy? And you're thinking, and they're like, how you doing today, Lucy? And you're like, oh yeah, that's me, Lucy, yeah, I'm great, you know, things like that. And I mean, it's huge. It's a huge sacrifice to change your entire identity just to be able to move to another part of the world. But like I've been saying before, I think that it's usually because of their next generation. For the people that I know, when they choose to stay behind, no matter what happens, no matter how hard it is. Some people I know have worked 2, 3, 4 jobs just to make it through, have put themselves through school, taught themselves English, like all of that is in its own way trying to secure a better future for themselves and their next generation. Well, before I let you go, I have one last question. The question we always ask guests on the Saturday morning show. Today your question would be, what are you likely to be eating on a Saturday morning?
Like Turkish coffee, delicious Turkish coffee that I have at home, and a big bowl of cereal. Wow, because I love cereal.
All right. Well,
yes.
Thank you so much for spending your Saturday morning with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please tune in again next week. Don't forget to leave your comments below, especially on today's topic. Don't forget to subscribe so you get the updates, get our new videos like that. And like if you do like it, you know, I hope you do. And we'll see you again next week. Bye. Hi, here's today's list. 1. Do your research. Don't take anybody's word for it. 2. Investigate. Make sure you ask questions. 3. Double check all applications. Make sure everything is spelled right. Make sure all the birthdays match everything you ever applied for. 4. Make sure you apply on time for every application. And 5. Make sure you check the weather of the place that you're going to, because it could be very unpredictable. That's the list.